She sat watching her daughter Rhea rehearse her dance routine, a sense of pride swelling within her as she observed. During a break, Rhea walked toward her mother, but suddenly stopped in her tracks. Her mother glanced at her, noticing Rhea standing still, her face pale and her eyes wide with shock. Concerned, her mother asked what was wrong, but Rhea could only lift her hand and point toward the window. When her mom turned to look, she saw a little girl staring out the window. A girl from Rhea's dance class immediately recognized her from the past and made a startling confession. Ava Brown, 38, originally from Saratoga Springs, Utah, had always believed that the most difficult decision of her life was behind her. She was married to a wonderful man named Lucas, and together they had 2 sons and a daughter. Despite being married to the love of her life and deeply adoring her children, Ava knew there was still something missing, a part of her past that had been lost. Then, unexpectedly, her past resurfaced in the form of Gabriella. For 18 years, Ava had convinced herself that the choices she made were the right ones and that she should accept them. Yet, regret and guilt are powerful emotions that often find their way back. Though she had always pushed these feelings aside, deep down, Ava knew they couldn't remain hidden forever. Ava was afraid of how her family might react as she told them the truth. She will never forget the moment that changed her life and shattered her world. She started having symptoms and went to the pharmacy to buy a pregnancy test. When she took the test at home, the double red lines wouldn't leave her mind, flashing like neon lights. Positive, positive, positive. That $6.99 plastic stick had just read her entire future. My past, my future, and who I would be for the rest of my life, Ava wrote. At that time, Ava was only 19 years old, and she knew she wasn't ready to become a mother. She was still a child herself. She kept telling herself, "I'm fine. I can handle this. It'll be okay." She filled the bathtub with bubbles, trying to calm down and reflect on how things had come to this point. But the only thought haunting her was the decision she had to make. After much thought and self-reflection, Ava decided to carry the baby to term and place her for adoption. It was an incredibly difficult choice, but it seemed like the best option, a decision that Ava struggled with every day. It was extremely hard. According to Ava, the entire pregnancy leading up to the birth, a moment that should have brought joy and new life, was a mixture of grief and happiness. But the reality of what was to come caused immense emotional pain. She spent the night with me and my family at my parents' house before I gave her up the next day, Ava recalled. It wasn't much, but it was more than most mothers who give up their children for adoption get. The time spent with her in the hospital helped a lot. When the time came to part ways, Ava did so with a heavy heart. She wrote the poem My Little Butterfly for Gabriella, which became a symbol of the sacrifice Ava made. Ava took comfort in knowing that Gabriella had been adopted by a loving family. They provided Gabriella with everything she deserved, things that Ava couldn't give her at the time, but this didn't make it any easier. After leaving her parents' house, Ava worked hard, though she struggled to make ends meet, but she never forgot about Gabriella. She tried to move on, focusing on other things, but she had no idea what the future held. Eventually, Ava met a man named Lucas. After a whirlwind romance, they married, and over time, they had 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. When her daughter Rhea was born, Ava hoped that things would change. However, despite her hopes, Rhea's birth did not make Ava forget the decision she made years ago. Instead, Rhea reminded her of that painful choice, and it was Rhea who would later recognize her half-sister. While Ava watched 13-year-old Rhea rehearse her dance routine, someone was watching her from a window behind. Rhea finished and rushed toward her mother, but abruptly stopped when she noticed a girl watching her through the window. Ava turned around and couldn't believe her eyes. In disbelief, she locked eyes with her daughter, the one she hadn't seen in 17 years. Gabriella immediately recognized her mother. It was undeniable that fate had brought them together again. Ava wrote, "I was sitting with my back to the window. I turned around, and there was only a wall and 6 feet between us. But would Gabriella want to see her? At first, I was shocked. Then, a second later, I was thrilled. But I was hesitant, wondering if she would want to see me. Ava wrote, I stopped at the door. I didn't want to go outside and see her leave because maybe she wasn't ready. Her adoptive father had given Gabriella the choice. I didn't want to embarrass her. I wanted to be sure it was what she wanted. With her heart racing, Ava waited. Though the waiting was agonizing, she had to know. She took a deep breath and stepped outside. Would Gabriella still be there? I could have rushed out in an instant, but I was afraid for her feelings, Ava explained. When she opened the door, Gabriella was standing right in front of her. The first thing Ava asked was, Are you happy? Gabriella nodded and they embraced. I had to pull back because I wanted to look at her, Ava said. We couldn't stop staring at each other. The more we talked, the more we just looked at each other and laughed. It's surreal to think about the odds, and it was such an incredible moment for me. I feel so lucky. But how did Rhea know her half-sister if she had never met her? Gabriella's adoptive parents had been kind enough to send Ava updates every year. Every year, I'd receive a letter and some photos, Ava said. They were pretty detailed about how she was doing, what her life was like, and so much more. I learned how happy she was, her hobbies, and the pictures always gave me comfort. Ava had never told her children about their sister. In fact, Rhea kept a photo of Gabriella in her room. We had decided not to surprise our children with the news of their secret older sister. We wanted to give them the opportunity to learn about her over time, Ava explained. Gabriella was always a part of our lives, even before we met her again. She wasn't physically with us, but we always felt her presence. After their chance reunion at Rhea's dance class, Ava and Gabriella exchanged phone numbers and grew closer through text messages. Ava felt like she was getting to know her daughter all over again. I'm so lucky that things turned out this way. I know that many birth mothers never get this opportunity, and I'm incredibly fortunate that my story ended like this, Ava said happily. When I gave her up for adoption, I never forgot about her. In fact, it motivated me to become a better person. I wanted to be someone she would be proud to meet. I'm still in shock, but I'm so excited to see where our relationship will go, Ava shared. So how does Gabriella feel about it all? Now a high school senior, Gabriella shared, when I first walked through the door and met everyone, I was overwhelmed with love. These people who had loved me for 18 years were finally here, and I was just beginning to know them. Gabriella had grown up knowing about her birth mother, Ava. She kept a folder filled with letters from Ava and her family, along with a framed photo of her birth mother. Though Gabriella had always dreamed of meeting Ava, she never imagined it would happen like this. So what had drawn Gabriella to that dance class window on that fateful day? As a child, Gabriella had taken ballet lessons and remained fascinated by the art. Naturally, she was drawn to the window to watch the dancers. She recalled wishing the girl blocking her view would move aside, unaware that the girl was her biological half-sister, speaking to her biological mother, whom she would meet just moments later. I'm really keen to know your thoughts on this story, so please don't hesitate to share your insights in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and found it engaging, I invite you to subscribe to our channel for more similar content. Feel free to share this video. Take good care of yourselves, and I'm excited to connect with you in our future videos.